So we have a contract implemented now, but how can we actually test this contract? I mean, the first solution you might have is to simply upload a contract to a testnet and then try to call functions on the testnet contract. But obviously it takes a lot of time, and even just testing small things is quite complicated this way. So how can we more efficiently test? And especially because the contract might have a lot of different edge cases, which will take a lot of time to test. Our solution for this is automated testing, which is basically testing our contracts by writing code. You'll probably end up writing more code for tests rather than the contract itself. Maybe you are already aware of the concept of automated testing, but if not, let me give you a quick overview. Instead of deploying a contract, calling functions, and verifying the contract manually, you end up writing code that automatically deploys a contract, calls the functions, and verifies the results are as expected. This is extremely powerful, and you can do it either by testing very small units of a contract, called unit testing, or by testing all in one, called integration testing. The best thing about automated testing is that we have to write them only once. And now every time you change the code, you can run the tests again to double check that your changes didn't break any existing behavior in an unexpected way. So, how can we do this for smart contracts? Well, we again need a blockchain that runs locally on our computer. Luckily, the Ethereum developer tools these days take all the hard work from you. So this all happens without you having to do any setup. We can just write the test in JavaScript using a framework like Mocha. A test in Mocha follows a simple structure. Describe for context, before each for setup, and it for assertion. So let's take a look how you would use this. It usually looks something like this. And you're meant to read it like, when this is the case, it should behave as expected. So the describe here is used to organize tests by different scenarios. Think like, when my contract was only just deployed, or when the contract was emergency shut down, or something similar. And then you can have multiple it functions, or it's just one, inside the same describe to test a function in your contract in the given describe scenario. And then before each is used to actually create the scenario in code that you described. So for smart contracts, the setup conceptually usually looks quite similar to this. So here we test our ERC20 contract. We have a high-level describe just with the contract name. Then inside the before each, we deploy the contract to our local blockchain. And then we can actually test the contract. So for example here, we say, when I have 10 tokens, and then again inside the before each, we do the setup for that by actually minting 10 tokens to us. And then when I transfer 10 tokens, it should transfer tokens correctly. So here we call the transfer with 10, and afterwards we'll check that the sender lost 10 tokens and the receiver gained 10 tokens. But here, when we transfer 15 tokens, then that's obviously more than his current balance, because remember, we minted only 10 tokens. But we can also test this in the code by checking that this transfer here with 15 ended up in the transaction being reverted. Okay, cool. Let's add some basic tests for our ERC20 project next.